What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video commentary. Haven't done this for a while, but I've been consuming some more. I'm seeing more people do this style of content, and I'm really drawn to it. So I'm back. This is my biggest regrets in my 20s was not investing in myself. Follow the footsteps and advice from people that were my parents, friends' parents, people in my community, average people, working hard, people that worked, in factories, did the everyday grind, people that unwillingly got up, headed to work to clock in and work for a boss, clock out in the evening, wake up early in the morning, do your 9 hours, clock out kind of thing, listen to what your boss says and what time you have to be there, and your 30-minute hour lunch break, take your breaks when you're allowed to. You do that 5 days, 6 days, 7 days a week and call that a life. That's kind of what most people do. So I figured that's what I was supposed to do. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. Just it's a huge sacrifice that most people do to ensure themselves and their families are taken care of and have a roof over their head and have a car to drive, keep food on the table, all that good stuff. Just it's necessary, to have an income in this world. You gotta feed yourself, stay out of poverty, and stay off the streets. You gotta provide. But I know that I wanted more. It just took me a while to realize that and figure that out. Another thing that I regret was not having a solid plan during and after high school. Maybe even before that. Was just very average in school, at least academically and socially. Not because I wasn't smart or outgoing, just because I just chose to, not really get by, but just like coast. I didn't really have many goals, really. I knew that I wanted to provide an income, and at the time I didn't really care about money. I thought that life would just work itself out and I could figure it out along the way, and that's what I did. It just took me a while to realize that I didn't want to be in the 9 to 5, in the grind and just barely scraping by, getting your $500 a week, $600 a week, and then it's all gone by Saturday. You get paid Friday, it's all gone by Saturday, Sunday, Monday from bills and food, and do it all again the next week and repeat that for the next 55 to 70 years. It doesn't sound that great to me. So anyways, I didn't really care for school, and I figured none of it really mattered for some reason. All I wanted to do was skate, play video games, hang out with friends. Back then, I never really thought too far in advance. I didn't really feel the need to try and apply my skills at my homework or tests or sports or anything, really, because I didn't see any reason to. The only class I really applied myself to was art, drawing, and anything creative. I put my heart and soul into those classes for some reason, and I didn't know it at the time, but I know now that it was because I was really entrepreneurial and creative, and I wanted to create something for my life and make something out of nothing. But yeah, I figured I'd get a regular, safe job after high school and figure it out as I go, and I guess I thought that everything would just fall into place. It did not right away. Still figuring it out to this day. I'm 31 years old. I'll be 32 in March. I somehow managed to graduate early at 18. I think I had just turned 18 in 2012, March, and then I applied for a factory job. It was my first real job. I was excited. I was following my dad's footsteps. My dad was and has been a factory worker the majority of his life, and so I was like, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna work in a factory and save up some money, make some money, grind, and thought I would be working 40 hours a week and still be able to enjoy life, and which it can work. I knew right away that working in the hot factory and busting my ass, clocking in, if I was a minute or two late or something, you're getting yelled at. It's like, dude, I'm an adult too. It's crazy. Just you show up at 6 a.m., you can take a break when they tell you to take a break. You go back to work, gotta be back at your station before the bell rings. It's just like school over and over again, but you're getting paid, but you're just getting paid what you're, at the time, I think it was like $10 an hour, $11 an hour, trading your time for money. This leads to my next regret, factory and blue collar work. And it's not really a regret. It's just another stepping stone, I guess, along the way, to figure out what I really wanted to do in my life. But yeah, I still managed to graduate early. Like I said, got my first real job. It was a fiberglass plant in my hometown in Indiana. We made body panels and parts for Hummers, automotive vehicles, tractor, fiberglass panels, and that was rough. I quickly realized I might have made a mistake, and I felt overworked and underpaid and thought, is this really what I am going to do for the rest of my life? Surely there's more than this. And I quickly realized this wasn't for me, and if I wanted to get ahead financially and be happy, I would need to do something else. I realized that quickly, but sadly I didn't change much for the next 10 years. Sure, I tried new and different jobs, worked my way up in a different factory down the road. I built windshields there for like Polaris and Can-Am and stuff like that on the floor. I was there for a long time, started on second shift. I had a few buddies that worked there. I got in there. Ended up, it was a physical job, but it was more laid back. Still had to work really hard, but it was more of a family-oriented place and chill as long as you got your work done. Worked my way up there. Eventually got into customer service, got in the office. I thought, work your way up, get in the office. At least if you're in a factory, get in the office and it'll be easier. You'll get paid more, or so I thought. The workload was, you kind of feel just like a slave in there too. So I did that for a while. Worked my way up, kept grinding. Became a safety EHS manager over the factory. So just making sure everybody's safe and doing your SOPs and learning about safety and just making sure the first aid cabinets were stocked and talking to suppliers and all that good stuff. Found out that I really wasn't into that either. I've worked in car dealerships. I've sold cars. I've worked for my father-in-law back in the day. He had a grease business where he recycled restaurant grease and stuff like that. Sadly, none of these jobs really made me happy. I've worked first shift, second shift, I've worked third shift, I've tried them all. I worked long hours, normal hours, and everything in between. I tried side hustles, I've tried Uber, DoorDash, you name it, I've tried it. The one business that I started and still have was reselling. I've seen people buying from garage sales, thrift stores, even Walmart, online, people on YouTube, Instagram, all that. I've seen people doing it, so I gave it a shot. People were flipping stuff online for big profits, and I was like, this is something that anybody can do, so I gave it a shot. This was around 2019, after hearing from some people who genuinely seemed authentic, like Gary Vee, Renzi, a couple I followed on Instagram and still follow to this day, and a few others I had followed. I was working in the factory and trying to survive, and I had a few extra bucks, maybe 10, 15, 20 extra bucks. I bought some shoes at a garage sale. I bought a lot. I think it was 10 to 15 pairs for $1 to $2 a pair. Name brand shoes that were gently used, good condition. Took them home. I cleaned them, listed them on Poshmark, sold my first pair for around 40 bucks, $40 for one pair of used shoes. And then that's when it finally clicked. Something finally worked. So I kept repeating this process, and then moved to eBay, and that's when everything took off for us. The first year, I'll have to pull the numbers up, but it was around 20 to 30K that year, and that was huge for me, and anybody can do it. So I was like, wow, something actually worked that I've tried that wasn't a normal job. During all this, we were building a family and working on our marriage. Not only is trying to find a career or excel in a path very challenging, but doing it while raising children and trying to be there for your wife and kids and work on yourself, your health, and make sure everything's afloat and trying to work on bettering every area of your life. It's pretty challenging to balance everything, giving them a good life at the same time as trying to build a business that you aren't really confident in yet is pretty tough. But if it was easy, everybody would do it, right? So trying to show them what a good role model is while trying to build wealth and survive at the same time is a different game. Brings me to my next regret: investing. Not taking my investing seriously. This can be a 401k, IRA, individual brokerage accounts, maybe even a little crypto. But mainly just 401ks and investing in stocks and ETFs and all that stuff. I didn't really take it seriously. I did start a 401k at each job I was at, but I would let them take I put 5-10% in, do the company match, and I would keep it in there for a while, kind of forget about it. My paychecks got smaller, but I knew that I was investing into my 401k, and the plan is to keep it in there and let it sit there for basically your entire life until you retire, and then you're going to have that compound interest. And it seemed like every time I would switch jobs, I would be freaking draining my savings and spending all my money to try and survive and raise kids and pay for expenses. And there would always come a point where it seemed like, I didn't have any money left at the end of the month. So I had to freaking pull my investing money from my 401k or my investing accounts and pay the tax penalties. And I don't know if that wasn't really smart, but at the time that sounded better than losing my apartment or not being able to feed my kids. So I take the money out and I would use it for a few months to pay the bills. The first time I invested was I think it was my first or second factory job. In my 401k, they had a match. So everything that I put in up to a certain company match, the company would match it dollar for dollar, which is huge. So that money is then invested for you in a retirement account and grows year after year. Compound interest. The big thing, though, is picking an amount that is automatically invested from your paycheck and you don't even see it, but make sure it fits your budget. Problem I had, though, was also trying to budget on a low income while raising kids, keeping the lights on, roof over your head, gas in the tank, childcare, etc., all that good stuff. Every time I would get a significant amount of money invested in my account, I would take that tax penalty and withdraw all the money in those accounts because I needed the money to survive. I do not suggest that, but I had no choice at the time so I could just keep everything afloat. So my advice is to budget beforehand. Don't start investing until you got your expenses down pat, and save up an emergency fund of 1 to 3K before you start investing. Make sure you have a budget and you stick to it. Make sure your income is more than your expenses and then invest. Start small. Invest small amounts of your paycheck, 3 to 5%, up to 10%, maybe even more if you can afford it, if your budget allows. You'll be glad you did. Do your own research on the types of investing: traditional employer provided 401ks, traditional IRAs, Roth IRAs, individual brokerages like Robinhood or Fidelity, Vanguard. They're pretty low cost, and if you just do some research, invest into some EFTs or CFTs that track the biggest 500 Fortune 500 companies, and it's a good start. Keep it simple. Invest in things like that. Invest in VU, ETFs. The key is to not have to think about it and auto invest in dollar cost average, whether that be daily, weekly, monthly. Just pick an amount that you can afford and have it automatically invested for you. Auto invest directly from your income, whether it's from your employer or your own side hustle or your business. Set up a system to put money aside for saving and investing and budgeting. Make sure your budget allows. If I were to go back to age 18, right after high school, I would set up a separate brokerage and a Roth IRA and set my company provided 401k and match the max dollar amount that the employer would offer, or as much as I could afford. I would not spend money on fast food, Taco Bell, B-dubs, all that stuff. You know, you still have to have a life and you still have to have some fun. So allow yourself a certain amount per week or per month that you can spend on some enjoyment, 5, 10, 15, 20 bucks a week or something like that, as long as you can afford it. Have some fun every now and then. Stick to a budget, but also I would have allowed myself to enjoy and indulge occasionally, because you still want to live life. Who knows when your last day on earth will be. Hopefully we get to live out our purpose here on earth for a long time, but you never know. I would have gone against the grain sooner, pursued my ideas and passions sooner. We tend to be too realistic, take the safe route like our parents did, like the people we know did, instead of pursuing the unconventional route, because it's scary. You don't know if it's going to work out. I also don't know if a normal 9 to 5 job is going to work out. So there's that. Like, I always loved being creative, and I loved art, I loved drawing, I loved painting, creating, but didn't feel like I could make a living doing any of that. But that simply just isn't true. Go for what you want, what you love, expand your mind a little, and try. Go for it. And if you fail, there's always going to be a 9 to 5 job out there that you can find. It might not be the best thing, but I mean, why not try something that you love and keep on trying? If one thing doesn't work, I've tried multiple things. I've tried multiple side hustles. Keep on trying, keep on going different avenues, trying things, and actually try it for a while too. Don't just try it for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a couple months. Like, it's going to take a while. It's going to take hard work. Just like you have to treat it like a job. If you're going to, like, for instance, if, reselling, like I tried. I did that for a few months before I started getting any sales, and then I realized, did some more research, and I started gaining knowledge and like what to do and what to look for and what prices should be and how many I should list a day. I came up with a process, an inventory system. I bought the supplies and like learned as much as I could, and that's why I started having some success with it. I'd rather shoot for the moon, working towards something I can be proud of, working 80 hours on my own business for myself or investing in myself rather than working 40 hours, 50 hours for somebody else to make them rich while I collect the scraps and being told what to do and when I can do it and how to do it. Although I also believe it is a great way to develop some real world skills working for someone or at a company for a while. You can pivot and do your own thing. You won't feel ready. So invest in yourself, development, your confidence, and your spiritual and physical health. And do it daily. Create non-negotiables that you do every day or every week, filled with things that will get you closer to what you want. Start living your life as if you've already achieved what you want. Act the way you would want to act before you feel ready, before you feel confident enough to do so. That's all I got today, guys. Thanks for watching. If you like this kind of content, this gameplay, ideas, topics that you have, leave them in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Peace.